Hello. Well, I've been wild about cranberries for some time now, so I'm going to include cranberry scones or scones and cranberry butter. So I'm going to start with, it's pretty easy to make. In here I have 3 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/3 cup sugar, 1/2 cup salted butter cold. You don't leave this sitting out. It comes from the fridge cold. 3/4 cup of orange juice, 2 large eggs, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 to 1.5 cup of fresh cranberries. Let's go. The first thing I do is I'm going to add these dry ingredients to the 3 cups of flour. And that is 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/3 cup granulated sugar. So then I'm going to whisk these together, and then I'll add the butter, and we're going to work that in until you get pea-sized chunks. That's pretty good. And remember, this butter is cold. Turn your oven on to 425 also. Now I'm going to try to use my pastry blender. Sometimes I use my hands, but this butter is cold, so I may end up using my hands. You work it quite a bit there because you want those pea-sized chunks. I'll show you what that looks like in a bit. Let me get going at this. Now I'm going to use my hands to see if I've got it in there good enough. I'm going to work it just a little bit more. You'll be feeling little lumps of butter, but just keep working it in. You want it to get smaller and smaller, those lumps of butter. That, I say, is done. So now I'm going to mix the liquids together. Here's my 3/4 cup orange juice. I'm going to whisk these just a little. I like to do that before I put it in. Give them a head start. 2 eggs, 2 large eggs, and 1/2 teaspoon vanilla. So I'm going to whisk these together a little. Then I'm going to add them to the dry. And then at that point we're going to fold in the cranberries. Woo! Now before I add this, I want to show you my cranberries. You're supposed to use 1 cup to 1.5 cups. Well, I like to cut mine in half because then the cranberries are dispersed better, I think. So I cut mine in half, but I get 1.5 cups of fresh, and then I cut them in half. Okay, so the part that got omitted, I'm sorry, was you work this together with a good spatula. But then in the end, I always end up using my hands to make sure the flour is incorporated. And then I add my cranberries, which I've cut in half, and you end up with this. And now I'm going to roll this out and cut it into wedges. Now I'm going to roll this out. I've floured my surface. There, that's better. You want to try to go for a circle because you're going to cut wedges. I'd say I'm a 1/2 inch thick maybe. I'm going to use my pizza cutter. Of course, you can make these however big you want. There we go. Now I'm going to put them on some parchment paper and put them in the oven 425 degrees. All set for the oven. I did sprinkle a little sugar on top. Now I'm going to bake these for about 15 to 17 minutes. Now I'm going to make the cranberry butter. Now I'm not making a full batch because it's just the 2 of us and I don't want it around here. I'm making 1/4 batch, but I'll tell you the ingredients for a full batch. You need 1 cup of softened butter, 1 cup fresh cranberries, 2 tablespoons honey, 1 tablespoon orange zest, or a little bit of orange juice. Now I don't have much orange zest, but I think that'll be enough. So if you have a big food processor, that would work good. I just have this little one, so I might do a half at a time. All done. They baked 16 minutes. Now, At this point, the recipe says to smear some melted butter on top and you eat them warm. Well, that's not going to happen. I'm going to save these, and instead I'm going to let them cool, and I'll use that cranberry butter that I just finished. All done. Some beautiful cranberry scones, and cranberry butter. Now remember, this was a quarter recipe of the butter, so you get a lot more than that when you make the full recipe. These are so tasty, and I like them even cold with this. You can heat them up in the microwave if you like. Give it a try. I think you'll find it a treat. Kind of a break from the really sweet stuff. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.